Hi, this is George, and you're watching the Return of the King channel. In this video, I'll be talking about the third day in the Bible and what we see in the heavens on the third day from the eclipse. What we see is our escape from the dragon via the rapture. In 2020, I was given a dream symbolizing our wedding in heaven that confirms that when the moon is in Aries, the bridegroom comes for his bride. That is if the war in the heavens found in Revelation chapter 12 doesn't cause a delay. Satan must believe that if he can prevent the rapture, God cannot pour out his judgment on the earth. If only 10 righteous people would have been found in Sodom, God would have refrained from destroying them. By preventing the rapture from occurring, Satan could continue his rule here on earth indefinitely. The good news is we know the end of the story. The child, the Christian in Revelation chapter 12, is snatched away, harpazoed, raptured to God and his throne. On the third day from the eclipse, the moon is in the constellation of Aries. In Hebrew, it's called Taleh, which means the Lamb. The ancient Jewish rabbis believed the moon symbolized the Messiah, to us, Jesus, the bridegroom. On this day, Jupiter, representing the Christian from the Revelation 12 sign, is above the head of the dragon who is looking to devour the Christian. The number 3 in the Bible is the number of resurrection. It was on the third day Jesus rose from the grave. At the rapture, the dead in Christ will rise first, then we who are alive will rise to meet the Lord in the air. On the third day from the eclipse, at sunset from the Sea of Galilee, April 10th, the third day of Nisan begins. Nisan is the first month on the Jewish religious calendar. The wedding in Cana in Galilee occurred on the 3rd of Nisan, the day we're looking at here. We know it's the month of Nisan because after the wedding, Jesus goes to Capernaum for a few days, and then to Jerusalem and arrives just before Passover, which begins on the 14th. He has more than enough time to make the journey. There's no reason for us to have to know the exact day of the wedding unless it has some future value. A Jewish wedding at the time of Christ lasted 7 days. Our wedding with Christ will last 7 years. It takes the moon representing Christ the bridegroom 7 days to travel to the constellation representing heaven, Cancer. When I noticed this, I asked God, does the moon in the constellation of Aries have anything to do with the rapture? That night I'm given a detailed dream symbolizing our wedding in heaven. I'll explain the dream later in the video. On the day you see here, every single planet except Pluto is in the constellations of the rapture, and every planet is in the correct location to tell the story of the rapture. I cover this in great detail in this video appearing here. It was at Mount Sinai that God gave the Israelites 3 days to prepare to meet with him. What happened at Mount Sinai is a type or foreshadowing of the rapture. The Lord said to Moses, "Go to the people and consecrate them today and tomorrow, and let them wash their garments and be ready for the third day. For on the third day the Lord will come down on Mount Sinai in the sight of all the people." When we count the days from the eclipse in the same manner as the Lord did at Mount Sinai, the 10th of April is the third day. When the trumpet sounds a long blast, they shall come up to the mountain. On the morning of the third day there were thunders and lightnings, and a thick cloud on the mountain, and a very loud trumpet blast. As the sound of the trumpet grew louder and louder, Moses spoke, and God answered him in thunder. The Lord came down on Mount Sinai to the top of the mountain, and the Lord called Moses to the top of the mountain, and Moses went up. At the rapture, at the sound of the trumpet of God, Christ will come down, and we will go up to meet him in the air. While the Israelites were still being held captive by Pharaoh in Egypt, this happened. Then the Lord said to Moses, "Stretch out your hand towards heaven, that there may be darkness over the land of Egypt, a darkness to be felt." So Moses stretched out his hand towards heaven, and there was pitch darkness in all the land of Egypt 3 days. The intersection of the path of the eclipse of 2017 and the April 8th eclipse occurs in an area known as Little Egypt. In the Bible, Egypt is a symbol of the world. If the rapture were to occur on the 10th, the eclipse is a 3-day warning that metaphorically darkness is coming to the earth, a darkness to be felt, as the restraining influence of the church has been removed. Moments after the rapture, not a single Christian will be on the earth. The world will be in total panic mode. Those left behind will experience a level of fear they have never felt before. The perfect situation for the Antichrist to appear and take control. The earth will be in spiritual darkness, not for 3 days, but for 7 years. Satan, who has been kept in check by the Holy Spirit-filled church, will no longer be restrained. During the 7-year tribulation, God will allow Satan to do things that up until now he was not allowed to do. The next 7 years will be so dark that if the time had not been cut short, no one would have survived. The prophet Hosea tells us, after 2 days he will revive us. On the 3rd day he will raise us up, that we may live before him. Sounds a lot like a meeting with God on the 3rd day. After the wedding, Jesus, his mother, his brothers, and disciples go to Capernaum on the Sea of Galilee. The account of the 153 fish occurs on the Sea of Galilee, most likely near Capernaum. Contained within the account of the 153 fish is the story of the rapture. When Jesus appeared on the shore of the Sea of Galilee and counted the 153 fish, we are told this. This was now the 3rd time that Jesus was revealed to the disciples after he was raised from the dead. It's interesting that right after the wedding, he goes to Capernaum on the Sea of Galilee. It looks like a hint that the wedding has something to do with the rapture. In the fall of 2020, I was given 2 dreams. In this video, I'm going to talk about the 2 dreams with most of the focus on the second dream. The dream about our wedding in heaven and the moon being in the constellation of Aries. The dreams were given to me in response to questions I had. The first dream is completed very precisely by the eclipse that occurs on the band of the fish. This first dream came about due to my frustrations with the Jewish calendars. The 2 dreams worked together. This dream led to the wedding dream a few weeks later. They both occurred in the fall of 2020. This dream is completed when the eclipse appears on the band of the fish on April 8th. The dream begins in the desert here. The pyramids are located here. I'm running a marathon race with a Christian coworker named Steve. As we approach the city, I decide it's time to kick up the pace, and I leave Steve behind. I go to check my sport watch and find that it's not working. My sport watch has the map of the race, and without the map, I run the risk of getting lost once I enter the city. In this race, the streets are not blocked off, so you need a map. I follow other runners, and then somewhere up here, I get lost. I find a map. It says you are here, with the finish to the race, the strange V shape. Then I wake up. The countdown to the eclipse begins when 2 wandering stars join the star Aldebaran in the constellation of Taurus. These 3 stars on June 15, 2022, align with the 3 pyramids of Egypt in the same location relative to where I ran the race in Egypt. On God's original calendar, Enoch's calendar, also known as the Essene calendar or the Dead Sea Scroll calendar, Pentecost is always on the 15th day of the 3rd month, and it's always the first day of the week, Sunday. Everything you need to know about the history of the Jewish calendar can be found in this book by Ken Johnson. If we use the Jewish calendar that was used at the time of Christ, which can be found at torahcalendar.com, not today's modern Jewish calendar, then Pentecost, the 15th day of the 3rd month on the Jewish calendar, in the year 2022 is June 15th. The same day, the 3 stars align with the 3 pyramids. The account of the 153 fish is about the rapture of the church. Jesus has some of the fish that have been just caught brought to him, but not all of them. This number 153 is chosen to point us to Pentecost, the 15th day of the third month on the Jewish calendar. There are 7 appointed times, of which 3 are feast days. The other 2 feasts, the Feast of Unleavened Bread and the Feast of Tabernacles, begin on the 15th day of their respective months. All 3 are meetings with God. So it would make sense that all 3 would be on the 15th, and they are on God's original calendar. The start of the church age and the age of grace began on Pentecost. The rapture brings the age of grace to a close. On every Pentecost at dawn, the sun is in the constellation of Taurus, and the constellations of the rapture, the ones you see here, appear in the eastern sky. The account of the 153 fish occurs at dawn. It's telling us who's going to be raptured, the Christian whose symbol is the fish, and what constellations to be looking at for signs in the heavens of the rapture. When I awaken, I'm here in the dream. When the 3 stars align with the pyramids, which just happens to be on Pentecost, we start counting the days to the eclipse. Not just to the eclipse, but to the 3rd day after the eclipse, the day the moon is in the constellation of the Lamb. These day counts have meaning. The eclipses are the roadmap to the rapture and tribulation. The story begins with the blood moon tetrad and ends as far as the rapture is concerned with the April 8th eclipse. It's where they occur in the heavens and sometimes on earth that tells the story. From the Revelation 12 sign to the eclipse, it's 6 years, 6 months, and 16 days. Encoded within that date is the number of the beast, 666. From the Revelation 12 sign to Pentecost in 2022, the day the dream is telling us to start counting the days to the end of the race, it's 1,726 days. Encoded within that number is the number 726. In Strong's Concordance, 726 is the Greek word harpazo, the rapture. If we count the days from Pentecost, June 15th, 2022, to the 3rd day after the eclipse, the day the moon and Jupiter is in Aries, Christ coming for his bride, it is 665 days. On the 666th day, the moon appears in the Pleiades, which has everything to do with the coming of the Antichrist. We leave before the Antichrist appears. The odds of all of this happening due to chance is pretty much 0. Everything you need to know about the dream and the chart of the eclipses can be found in this video. If you open the description to the video, you'll find this timeline. All you have to do is click or touch the timestamps, and it will take you to what is being described. The second dream was the result of a question I had about the moon and the constellation of Aries. I was reading about the meaning of this group of constellations in the book The Gospel in the Stars by Dr. Joseph Zeiss. In the book The Gospel in the Stars, Aries represents the blessed hope, the rapture. At the time I noticed the moon takes 7 days to travel from Aries to the constellation of Cancer, which represents heaven. A Jewish wedding lasts 7 days, the tribulation 7 years. So I asked God, does the moon in the constellation of Aries have anything to do with the rapture? And that night I get this dream. I'm at some sort of large celebration with the musicians from Hillsongs. We're all just hanging out and talking with one another. What had hit me as strange in the dream was I seemed to know everyone very well, and they seemed to know me, yet we had never met. I'm thinking to myself, why is everyone so nice? We're having this really amazing time fellowshipping together. At some point in the dream, I realize I'm at a wedding. After a little more time passes, I come to realize it's my wedding. A little later, I find out the woman I'm going to marry is Taya. I know who she is, but I've never met her in real life or in the dream. It was like an arranged wedding, and in the dream, I was totally comfortable with marrying someone I've never met. After I woke up, I was thinking about the dream, and I thought the name Taya must mean something. So I look up the meaning of her name, and it means divine, tender. In the dream, Taya symbolizes Christ. I didn't see her in the dream, which brings to mind this verse found in 1 Peter 1, 8 and 9. Though you have not seen him, you love him. Though you do not now see him, you believe in him and rejoice with joy that is inexpressible and filled with glory, obtaining the outcome of your faith, the salvation of your souls. The dream symbolizes our wedding with Christ. Everyone there was a Christian. All I felt there was pure love, joy, and goodness, the fruit of the Spirit. It was an amazing preview of what heaven will be like. I believe the eclipse is a 3-day warning about the coming judgment on not just America, but the world. But that judgment can't occur until the bride is removed, the bride who is made righteous by the blood of Christ. On the 3rd day after the eclipse, God may just take those that belong to him out of the world, just like he took the Israelites out of Egypt. It all depends on whether the war is preemptive, just prior to the rapture or just after the trumpet sounds and we meet with Christ in the air. The response to Daniel's prayer was delayed 21 days because the angel bringing the response had to do battle with the prince of Persia, and only Michael came to his aid. I am personally looking at this day as the most likely day of the rapture between now and the Feast of Trumpets in the fall. But I'm also prepared to be here as late as the Feast of Trumpets. All the signs in the heavens found in Revelation chapter 12 are completed on this day, so the rapture can't be far behind. Thanks for watching.